No cussing. All right, so we're going to talk about something. Morals. Ugh, that word. What is the moral debate? I don't know, but we're going to figure it out. A very common question I get is, how do I know the difference between right and wrong? And it so frequently hits my ears with people that are truly interested in where I think I get them, if not from the Bible or from Jesus or a deity himself. My thoughts, not that anyone asked. Actually, no, I get asked all the time. What am I talking about? I think that our moral compass is a combination of things. But for the most part, I feel like we're born with it. I think we are intuitively given a conscience. That's why when we do good for people, we feel good in our heart. It's not that we're told it's good, we feel it. A lot of things can't be taught. It truly scares me to think that some people believe that they wouldn't know the difference between right and wrong unless they had a guidebook to tell them and differentiate between right and wrong. Surprisingly enough, a lot of people know that I'm not the biggest fan of humans in general. I happen to believe that we are born whole and good at the root of it. I believe that we truly know the difference between right and wrong in our hearts. When I'm asked about the Bible, I know that a lot of followers of Jesus, many claim to use the Bible as the primary source of the principles of morality. There are certain things that I do think can be taught based on outside teachings. So something like in the Bible, we are taught that homosexuality is an abomination. In every version of the Bible, no room for misinterpretation. It is a divine law. So if I were to follow the Bible, I myself would believe homosexuality is wrong. I think 10% of other species are known to be homosexual. So if God created life, I'm unsure why he would make something like homosexuality subject to eternal damnation, why he then would create other species that are naturally homosexual. If we're going to call it the moral compass, there are things in the Bible that if I shut my brain off and let the Bible decide for me, there would be things that would tell me is okay that I still would never dream of doing. Let's just say a child broke into my home and stole candy from my purse. Do I think that that child is deserving of being stoned by his or her community to death? So something like stoning of a child, okay, in Deuteronomy. I know that it's the Old Testament, but hang with me. To purge the community of evil, there is a command to stone to death a child for disobedience. Now, I understand that slavery or misogyny, rape, killing of children, many things are, according to believers, misinterpreted, metaphorical, not literal, not absolute, or justified by saying it was bound to the cultural times. I'm choosing the example of stoning as a child because that was absolute. Not only was it absolute, it was a command. It was a command upon disobedient children. Now, we may say that was the Old Testament, and once Jesus and his teachings came along, there was the New Testament, where we introduce more love and empathy and forgiveness, right? It is also the New Testament, where we have the instruction of slaves to obey their masters, the instruction of women to be silent in church. Although this is with the cultural times and things have changed, and that's just what happened during that period of time, but it is in the Bible. It is in a Bible that we are to call timeless, not just applicable to the cultural times it was written in, but timeless, meaning applicable for all of eternity. During that time, I would understand if it were man who made that law and figured out later that that's not acceptable. That would be more acceptable because it's man. We are flawed, we make mistakes, we figure things out. But if it is an all-knowing God, a divine command that is written in a timeless book for all of humanity to follow, and it is so important that it is written in the perfect word of the creator of the universe. It is that important. Not only that, it's God. He would see today just as clearly back then, and he would know that stoning of a child would never be okay. That child was still a human child. Nothing changed as far as the human makeup. An all-loving God would have divinely inspired the command of the stoning of a child ever, at any period. I use that example because that is a command. It's an absolute. There is no room for misinterpretation, no room for metaphorical misunderstanding, no matter what the consequence was or is or will be. I will never follow a God that would command that on a child or a human being, ever. So when I'm asked where I get my moral compass from, I get it from in here. I get it from me. The Bible, I do not see as a moral compass. Stoning of a child is just one of many. The abomination of homosexuals is one of many. Slavery is one of many. It doesn't matter if it's not applicable to my descendants, it is still okaying the ownership of a human being, the beating of a human being. I'll never be convinced that an all-loving God would be okay with that, ever. Atheists or agnostics, we don't need to be scared into doing the right thing. We don't need fear of punishment to guide our actions. Guilt, happiness, sadness, I think we come with that. When I hear threats of hell, I mean, it kind of affects me the way a Christian who would be told by a Muslim, if you don't follow my creator, you're going to hell. Would a Christian be scared of that? I don't think a Christian would lose any sleep off of that threat, right? Or any other God. Nobody is afraid of that. And no God has better evidence over another. I don't fear hell because I don't believe in hell. I don't believe in Satan. I don't believe in God. I don't believe in any deity. I believe in love and I believe in energy. I believe in doing good things, but I do not believe in evil other than man, other than what we do here on earth. That's enough hell and evil for me. When I'm asked by people, where do you get your moral principles from? Once I explain where I think that comes from, I may throw in a few good deeds here and there, good things that I've done that I'm proud of in my life, and things that I'm proud of that I have not done. I have never cheated on a partner. I have never stolen other than coffee bean lipstick at Rite Aid when I was 8. I'm still proud. There are certain things I have never done. In my 40 years of life, I can say I have a clean slate. I don't brag about those things, but if I'm confronted with how do you know the difference between right and wrong, I have no issue saying, well, if you're going to challenge me on that, I'll tell you a little bit of what I've done as a human being without the fear of hell on my shoulder, what I've done because it felt right, or if I see the suffering of an animal or a child or a human, I feel called to step in. That's in my heart. That's not from a book or instruction. The flawed messaging that I get when I say, oh, well, here, let me tell you what I do good, even though I don't follow a book. Then the goalpost moves. The goalpost goes from the principles of doing good and bad on earth to, well, it doesn't matter what good deeds you do on earth. If you don't follow Christ, you are still subject to eternal damnation. No matter the good you do on earth, you are still looking into the face of eternal hell. Of all of the thousands of gods, there is no more good evidence of one than the other. I am expected to believe this one I will suffer in hell if I don't believe in Jesus Christ, even considering the terrible evidence of his existence other than claims in a man-made book. Now, there are a few things here. If I'm told this entity, this deity, is all loving, yet he can know that I spend my life in service to others, doing good, loving, caring, having empathy, you can still send me, or some people say he doesn't send you, you send yourself, which is totally manipulation, but let's just roll with that. So let's say I send myself to hell because I choose not to believe in God. I don't have enough evidence and I have no reason to believe in him other than a fear of hell. But if I don't fear hell, there is no reason. And I don't need his direction to know what's good or bad. I'd rather go with my own intuition with that because the Bible seemed to get it wrong. If someone who loves me tells me that they would allow me to go to burn in hell for all of eternity if I don't love them, not only does that sound like an ex that I would file a restraining order on, even if God were real, if he came to me and said, Saren, surprise, today is J Day, Today is Judgment Day. I know I haven't given you the best evidence, so I just decided to roll up and show you that I'm here. You have the option to come with us. Like, I'm giving you the option. Here I am, me in the flesh. If he gave me the ultimatum of following him or burning in hell, I would not follow him. I would not want to spend eternity with a person who claimed to love me, but would allow me to go to hell for not believing him. No chance. Shall I say no chance in hell? Now, if one of the 3,000 gods proved to me they were real and I had evidence and he wasn't a threatening narcissist and I had reason to believe, of course I would. But I feel like in that sense, I'm even more open to a God than most people, because most people are only open to one God, to their God, to the one they were taught to believe. Many people will say, well, you don't believe in God because you didn't read the Bible. But if I'm told that I need to read the Bible before I decide whether I don't believe in God, right? Then every Christian needs to read every creator's word. You have to read all those to rule those gods out. So how do you know those gods are wrong if you've only read your own Bible? So if you're going to tell me that I have to read the Bible before I can decide that I don't believe in God, you're going to have to go read the other creator's perfect word before you can tell me that they're not real and yours is. Put the shoe on the other foot. If you then tell me that it doesn't matter what I do on this earth, if I don't believe in our one God, that one dude, what would Jesus do? I'm not going to make it into heaven. The level of flawed messaging and the danger in that is teaching people that if you don't believe in God and you will not claim Jesus' name before so-called Judgment Day, you're going to hell either way. That sends a terrible message that you can pretty much do whatever you want anyway, because you're not getting into the pearly gates. So you can kind of just wild out no matter what. So me having zero fear of the possibility of hell, I still do good. I'm not scared into it. I'm not naturally sinful and not whole. I don't lose 1 nanosecond of sleep from fear of hell from being an atheist, and I never, ever will. And the only thing that the threats do is affirm my belief that I never want to be that type of person to threaten something like that on another human being. And I think that the disciples of an actual God would also be more loving than that. Now, I've had several different types of Christians try to manipulate me in really awful ways. I would say one of the very common passive-aggressive ways is, well, you're going to have to figure it out before Judgment Day because then it's going to be too late. That makes me think that it never really was about morals. It was only about believing in your God. If you are telling me that I will still burn in hell after doing all the good I've done on this earth, but I choose not to believe in God because I don't see one single reason to, and I'm not going to be threatened into believing him, that would actually repel me to want to go with him, to threaten me with that. If there are humans on earth that imply that they have no interest in the good that is done on this earth, bitter enough and not even realize why, so much so that they lose their humanity enough to be totally comfortable with sending me to hell and not missing a beat, a human that would otherwise have compassion and love, but once it has to do with religion, you turn into just an immoral, empathy lacking human that can so easily be okay with someone going to hell and you shoving that in their face. I don't want to be that person. I will never be that person. And Christians that are like that, I don't want to end up going where they go with a God that has made that so. Not interested. I'll take the risk. Any day, I'll take the risk. And plus, I'll be in hell with the gays, and that sounds funner anyway, to be honest. So, I mean, I'm not missing much. I also feel if I do something shitty, I should be fully accountable for that. Being able to blame a wrongdoing on the devil at any level, it doesn't allow you to really reflect and look inside of yourself and ask why you did that. Instead of just blaming the devil is busy. No, bitch, you're busy. You did that. The devil didn't do that. You did it. No, that was you. That was you. That was you. Yes, we all make mistakes, but if I have any room to blame any entity other than myself, I'm not going to learn the lesson. To be able to think that if I sin or if I commit a crime, that I can just ask God's forgiveness because he died for our sins. I don't want that either. I want to forgive myself, which means I'm going to have to do the work in order to feel that I am warranted forgiveness from myself. I don't need forgiveness from someone else. My conscience will allow me to feel guilty enough to figure out what I need to do to right my wrong. I don't find it beneficial to use God as a crutch or the devil as a crutch on any level. I think that if we do wrong, we take full accountability completely. I believe, like I said, that we all make mistakes. We do. We're all human, but I think that we learn when we're able to take accountability. And that goes for things that other people do to us. I might hold myself to a higher standard, but even the people that have done me wrong, whether it's abuse that I've suffered as a child or things I've gone through that no child should have to go through, although it's part of my history, I'm accountable for my own life. If I stay in that place and I can always lean on that trauma when I don't reach the goal that I set for myself, that's on me. Us heathens happen to think that this is our one life. We are living the fuck out of this life because this might be it. This might be it. We don't know the answer and we're comfortable with not knowing. I am not living this life half-assed because I'm thinking maybe there's something better on the other side. I am living this life today because as far as I know, this is it. After this, I return home to the plants or the dirt or the trees or the air or the sun. I go back to wherever I was before I was born 42 years ago. I'll return there or I'll haunt the people I don't like. Wherever I end up, I don't know. I don't know the answer. But what I do know is this life is precious. And if we don't look at this life like it's the only thing that we have, we are not going to live it to the fullest. So if you tell me that me doing good on this earth doesn't really matter unless I believe in your God and won't go to your heaven, I don't give a f. I care about this life. I care about human beings on this planet, even you. I will bust my ass to help you, no matter what you believe or how many gods you believe or how much you threaten me. I will fight for you because this is it to me. I live like this is it. I know a number of people that have been saying for years, God will make it okay. God will make it all right. And they've been saying that for 20 years and their life has gone nowhere. They sit and say that God will make it all right and don't do shit for themselves. What are you waiting for? Are you expecting the after party on Judgment Day? So you're not really living this life to the fullest because God is you waiting around for God to do it for you? I think that's a terrible way to live in the now. I think the only way to live in the now is to stop threatening people to hell after this life and saying, fuck everything that you do on earth. Not only is that not living in the moment, that's basically saying it doesn't matter what you do here or how you treat people. You're still subject to eternal damnation. Religion will always be. But while I'm here in America, and I have to do a little bit extra to prove myself as a good human being, when I talk about my belief or lack thereof in God's, I am here to explain in a religiously driven society why I stand where I stand. It is not to prove anyone else wrong. It's not to shit on anyone else because I know a ton of amazing believers of God. I want to fight for people who have been told that they're not enough based on the Bible. I'm here to fight for the people who can't quite fight for themselves yet or can't quite come out and profess what they believe, but that's the goal. And I want to be out here fighting for them until they can do it too, because I'm fueled by the people who feel like I can bring them a little more peace knowing that they're not alone. I'm not here to tell anyone what they believe is wrong. We've seen that debate doesn't do anything, right? We talked about that. I love Christians, some of them, the cool ones. When I talk about Christians, I only say Christians mainly because that's who I'm around the most. I don't discriminate. Unlike other religions that just think theirs is right, I think all of them are wrong. So if you think all the other religions are wrong and all the other gods are wrong, we're all atheists, right? I mean, I'm just one God further than you are. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about morals, where you think it comes from. Try to keep it, well, it's okay if you go off on me. I can handle it. But yeah, tell me, I want to hear in the comments what you guys think about morals and where they come from. Let's have a discussion. I want to hear from everyone, the believers, the non-believers. If you do follow the Bible, then I would love to hear your thoughts on how you use the Bible to help guide you. I'm not smoking the pipe, but at the end of the day, I think that it's all about having respect for each other and more so focusing on being okay with differences, because it's always going to be. We're always going to be different. We're never going to be able to convince everyone to believe in one thing. And I don't think that's fun anyway. I think it's funner to be able to all be different. And, it's like Skittles. You don't want a bag with all one color, right? Unless it's red. We're always going to be different. Lead with the heart. So anyway, all right.